What's up, Raptors fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. It's time to talk about the Toronto Raptors and their new, young, exciting player, and that is Christian Koloko. Now, it seems like every offseason, the Raptors always find these hidden gems, young, exciting players. Last year was Scotty Barnes and Precious Achiuwa, and this year it's Christian Koloko. So for today's video, maybe talk about the impact that Christian Koloko has had on the Raptors defense already, as well as discuss what took the Raptors so long to acquire a center and what I think his future could be with the Toronto Raptors. So if you're ready to watch this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let's try to get this video to 110 likes. And if you want to join a fun YouTube community that's always engaging in the comment section and a YouTuber that actually responds to your comment, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel. And for today's video, the shout out goes out to A-Rob. So A-Rob, thank you so much for supporting this channel with your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. Now, let's quickly talk about what Nick Nurse had to say about the rookie who played his very first NBA game, as well as what some of his teammates had to say. Now, Nick Nurse said this after his first NBA game, that Christian Koloko, turning to Christian Koloko earlier tonight, was a bit of a matchup driven versus Cavs front court, but also noted that he earned it with a strong camp. Now, Gary Trent Jr. went on to add that he doesn't really seem like a rookie with anything he does. Super mature, ready, focused, and Fred VanVleet added, sky is the limit. Now, obviously, the Raptors have not had a legitimate center for quite some time, and although a lot of people have assumed that the Raptors are going with this 6'8", 6'9" switchable lineup, and they don't need a center, I think that is a little bit misconstrued, because when Raptors general manager Bobby Webster was asked about this, why the Raptors don't sign a center, he did state that it's not as simple as people think, and that they have tried that in the past, hinting at the fact that they have signed Alex Len and Aaron Baines, and we know how that turned out. That didn't turn out too well with the Raptors, and it's not as simple as just going out and acquiring a center or trading for a center, or even signing a traditional center. I think a lot of people get that idea mixed up. It's not so much that the Raptors don't wish to sign a center. It's because the Raptors have a certain style of play. They like to play fast, up-tempo basketball, and not every traditional big man fits in with that. But not only that, the Raptors do need a center particularly, that is able to space the floor. So in terms of having a mobile center that can space the floor, as well as someone that's able to move very well, is a little bit of a challenge. Now, the reason the Raptors don't sign a traditional center, for those who may not be familiar, is because Masai Ujiri did see what happened in the bubble with someone like a Marc Gasol. Boston Celtics absolutely abused him, where they drew him out to the three-point line and they had guards just run past him. And we saw that. Fast forward a few years later, we saw what the Clippers did with someone like a Rudy Gobert as well. So again, it's not as simple as just going out and getting a center. But I think the Raptors drafted Christian Koloko for a reason. The reason was because he's very mobile for his size. The Raptors finally legitimately have a 7-foot center. And not only is he mobile, he's also someone who's able to protect the rim very well. And this is something the Raptors desperately needed. Now, I'm not going to go crazy and say he's going to impact the Raptors greatly, but it's quite obvious that the Raptors defense has been impacted quite positively already. Now, we saw what happened last year with the Toronto Raptors, and no, I am not speaking of the 76ers series. I am talking about how opponents were attacking the Toronto Raptors. Now, we know they had these 6'8", 6'9" guys that were all switchable except for Fred VanVleet. But the issue with that was they didn't have a rim protector, and not only that, but they didn't have a physical presence in the paint. Now, Christian Koloko, to that mix, add him to the roster that we currently have. Now teams are attacking the Raptors a little bit more differently. They're a little bit more hesitant to attack the basket. In fact, last year they knew there was no rim protector there, and oftentimes if anyone blew past Scotty Barnes or Pascal Siakam, there wasn't really much help, given the fact that the Raptors' backcourt of Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet are considerably quite short for that position. And obviously, OG Anunoby can only do so much at 6'6", 6'7" as well. So I think having Christian Koloko to the roster right now makes such a big difference. And it really just helps guys like Scotty Barnes and Pascal in particular, because if they do get blown by their defenders, they know there's a reassurance of Christian Koloko being there to defend the basket. And we've seen, even though it's just preseason and even just one regular season games, we've seen how teams are changing the way they play against the Raptors offensively. It makes such a big impact when you have a mobile 7-foot center who can block shots. He's a good rim protector. And although the NBA seems to be trending in away from a traditional centers to smaller lineups, I do want to pinpoint to some Eastern Conference teams, and it's particularly ones that are top tier in the Eastern Conference, that still have some of these 7-foot centers, or they have a really good shot blocker. Now let's use Milwaukee Bucks for example. The Milwaukee Bucks have Giannis Antetokounmpo and Brook Lopez, who they can kind of just position close to the paint there. And if anyone is attacking the basket, they know it's going to get rejected, or you have a physical presence in Brook Lopez. Now, I'm not suggesting that the Raptors sign someone that big, but having a physical paint presence definitely makes a huge difference. And even when you take a look at the Boston Celtics, who were one of the best defenses last year, they had Rob Williams, who was absolutely a menace in blocking shots. And you saw even with my Toronto Raptors, when they played the Boston Celtics, you definitely saw the way that they would attack the basket when Rob Williams was on the floor and when he wasn't on the floor. So having a rim protector and a physical paint presence, and you can add Miami to that with Bam Adebayo as well. I know he's not a legitimate 7-foot center, but he's also a really good defender who you know is going to be protecting the rim as well. So I think having someone like a Christian Koloko has such a positive impact on the Toronto Raptors defense, and it really just allows some of these other guys who have a bigger offensive role like Pascal Siakam, like Scotty Barnes, who's looking for a bigger offensive role, to not suggest that they play less defense, but they don't have to worry so much about being super aggressive, and also having to worry about something like protecting the paint as well. That was a big concern with the Raptors last season. You saw sometimes when teams were moving the ball around, the Raptors defenses would absolutely collapse and they would get easy baskets at the rim. I think this is going to change with Christian Koloko, and he just fits in with the Raptors so well. He's also really raw talent as well. He's still someone much like Pascal Siakam, who didn't pick up basketball until his late teens, and I think he needs a lot of reps at the NBA level. Again, I'm not going to touch on statistics because it is just one game of the NBA, and of course, preseason statistics are completely different, but that is something that we will definitely touch on this channel as we progress into the season through several months, and we have more statistics to back this up. You'll notice the Raptors defense will get a lot better from last year, and you'll notice that Nick Nurse will use him in different ways as well, sometimes maybe with Pascal Siakam, maybe sometimes with Precious Achiuwa. So different defenders will give the Raptors an option of using different lineups. So it's going to be fun, I think, seeing Christian Koloko just grow through the season. Now, obviously, this isn't to suggest that Christian Koloko has changed the Raptors defense entirely, but you know it definitely makes a huge difference when you have a paint presence like Christian Koloko that can just absolutely block everything at the rim. So I think this is going to be awesome for the Toronto Raptors. In terms of his future, now this is obviously a big thing because I will preach patience. A lot of fans are quick to jump on young players after performing 1, 2, 3 good games. And again, I don't want to say that he hasn't performed well, but I think we want to temper our expectations, not because I think that he's not going to be a great player, but centers normally take anywhere from 3 to 5 years to develop to their full potential. So I think he could be the Raptors' definitely starting center in the near future. He's also going to add a three-point shot, undoubtedly. I know he's a very talented player, a very hard worker, so I can definitely see him adding a three-point shot and his offense becoming a lot better. He's still very raw on the offensive side, so I'm excited to see how Christian Koloko develops through the years. And it'll be very interesting, obviously, because we went from having traditional centers. I know everyone will point to Golden State Warriors. Of course, they're one of the exceptions of teams because they have the greatest shooter of all time. But I think we went from a league where we had traditional centers to moving to small ball lineups. Now we have guys like Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama coming in next year, which are 7-foot centers that are playing like guards. So it's going to be funny to see how this league progresses. I think someone like a Christian Koloko has the absolute potential to be a really solid defensive player of the year. And obviously his offense will come with time as well. And I mean, just some of the plays you see with him, he just has crazy athleticism. So personally, I'm very excited. I'm absolutely happy that the Raptors have drafted him. Again, it's just one game. I'm not basing this off of one game. It's just more so how you see the Raptors play defense. I think there's a huge change in how they do that. And personally, I'm really excited, guys. I can't emphasize enough about someone like Christian's impact on the defensive side. So personally, I'm very excited. What did you guys think of his first game? How do you think he'll impact the Raptors defense? Do you agree with some of my assessment of what I've said with how the Raptors defense is completely different and even how teams are attacking the Raptors? Do you see a difference with Christian Koloko? I know it's very small sample games we've seen in preseason and just the one game, but I've already noticed a difference. Let me know some of the changes that you have seen and what has impressed you the most about Christian Koloko. And that will be it for today's video, guys. But I do have one trivia question before we end the video. And the trivia question is, which player leads the NBA in points per game? Now, I know it's just one game played for every single team, but which of these players leads the NBA in points per game? Is it A, Jason Tatum? Is it B, DeMar DeRozan? Is it C, James Harden? Or is it D, Joel Embiid? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first, I know it's tempting to Google guess, just try to guess which of these players leads the league. Again, I know it's just one game, but I just wanted to do a fun little trivia question. It should be fairly easy, though, if you pay attention to the NBA. Which of these players is it? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section will get a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video, guys. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.